So Mike Tyson and Bill Maher had a conversation several years ago. And of course, the conversation veered to the topic of Islam. Now, Mike Tyson is a Muslim. He converted to Islam. Probably not a very religious Muslim. He's like a liberal Muslim or something like that. He does a lot of stuff that wouldn't be allowed in Islam, including, according to some scholars, boxing itself is not allowed, right? You're not allowed to punch people in the head, in the face, or whatever. Anyhow, so Bill Maher tried to put his point of view as to why Islam is bad. I don't think he did a very good job. Now, I don't like Islam either. I'm going to show you, we're going to go and look at the video, and I'm going to tell you what I think he got wrong and how I would have said things differently. Let's get into it.
So you like being married,
Yeah.
And you're a Muslim.
Yeah.
Is the whole family Muslim?
Some of my kids, but listen, it's my wife and my kids. They have to choose what they want to be.
Right.
They have to choose.
And you're okay with that?
Absolutely.
That is not a point of view that is even allowed in many, many Muslim countries in the world. There is one religion, it is Islam, and
Well, I believe that,
we're
but
not.
listen.
They're not big on like, hey, you know what? Let's agree to disagree.
All right, but listen, I'm not Allah.
I know. I'm just saying that's something you're allowed to do here as an American Muslim.
So Bill Maher actually has a good point here, and I don't know if Mike Tyson even knows like just how bad it is for Muslims in Muslim countries. I mean, you really don't have a choice as to practicing. You don't have a choice as to, if you're a woman, you don't have a choice as to who you're going to get married to. You just get married to whatever your parents say. And in some countries, for example, Jordan, Saudi, and maybe Pakistan and many, many countries, there's child marriage, you're married to your cousin, there's honor killings, right? Jordan has a big problem with honor killings, right? These women, they have love marriages, they run away and they get killed. It's awful. So I don't know if actually Mike Tyson knows this. And if I was Mike Tyson, I mean, he seems like he's all about freedom of choice, which is great. I would have just agreed with Bill Maher, but I don't think he even knows that. I don't think he knows that Bill Maher is right here.
No, I learned from experience. I'm not going to stop their growth from something that my growth is extending with.
Right.
I'm growing with it, but that's not their growth.
I'm just pointing out that this enlightened point of view is not found uniformly around the world. You said America's the greatest. That's one reason why one thing that's still great about America is that you can have that point of view.
You'd be surprised how many Muslims want to come here and they think that the way we think.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
That.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
You'd be surprised.
I'm not.
And West is and all those guys in Iran and stuff. You'd be surprised. These are beautiful people
and women who don't want to wear the fucking, whatever they're.
So actually, he does know. He does know. He's acknowledging he knows. That's good.
Thing that looks like a cover of a motorboat.
Well, there are some people are more modest than other people.
Right.
I wish I had the dignity to be that modest.
Modest?
Yeah.
I thought this was kind of funny because he wants the dignity to be that modest. Like, what's immodest about the way he's dressed right now as a man? Does he want to wear the hijab too? I didn't quite get his point here. He looks perfectly modest to me. I'm not sure what he's getting at.
Why do you say that's modest?
Because they believe in covering themselves.
Oh.
And I'm like you said, I gotta be. Look how much money I got. I gotta be in this cheap ass plane with all these people and talking to these people.
There's one thing. Modest is one thing. Completely covering a woman so you don't see any of her. That's not modest. That's pathological.
Suppose she's happy with that.
So before we get into the whole happiness conversation, and this is a very short clip, so I'm gonna quickly interject before it's over. Look at this. Bill Maher is saying that it's pathological. So that's probably the wrong way of saying it. What he should have said is, why does a woman have to cover her hair, cover her entire body, right? Become invisible from society, more or less. I mean, to some women, they say you even have to cover their face. That is a question. That's what he probably means by pathological. Like it's like going to an extreme that this is what you consider modest, right? And of course, every culture has a different definition of what modest is. And some cultures are more lenient, some are more conservative. But the real problem here is that what Islam says is that to be modest, you have to cover from head to toe. And in some cultures, it's wearing fully black, right? Like in Saudi, for example, right? And so in some cultures, even worse than that, right? Like probably also in Saudi. And even you see some Muslims in Canada, for example, they believe they have to wear a niqab, right? A lot of them are Pakistani, some are Arab. They think that this is what modest means. And the point that he's going to get into is, what if they're happy? Let's hear what he has to say.
Oh my God, she's not happy with it. I mean, you can brainwash someone into liking anything. It's like,
what's that called again? My kids always say that to me with the Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome.
My kids always say that. My kids and my wife got Stockholm syndrome.
I love so your kids, how old are your kids?
They go from 33 to 11.
Okay. So, I'm sure you have times when you're with all of them.
Yes.
So this is where I would have actually said something different. I wouldn't have said that it's like they're not happy, or, they're definitely not happy. So he comes across as an angry white atheist here. And, this is the reason why sometimes these Dawa guys are very happy to talk to these guys. Like they'll gladly talk to, a quote unquote white atheist that was never Muslim, because these guys don't tend to have really good targeted points against Islam. They'll say things like, oh, they're not happy, they're just brainwashed, or have Stockholm syndrome or whatever. The reality is a little bit more complicated than that. It could be the case that they are truly happy covering up from head to toe. But the real question is, are they allowed in the religion to not cover? What would be the consequence if they didn't cover? What would be the social impact? What would happen? Look at Dina Tokyo. Look at all of these women that took off the hijab, and the shame they get thrown at them, the abuse, right? The Muslim community shuns them for taking off the hijab if they're like a public figure. On top of that, they could be, if they're like a child, like a teenager, they could be like abused. If they're an adult and they have a husband, they can be abused. It's basically the men's duty in Islam to make sure the woman covers, right? Whether it's the dad or the husband or the brother or whatever. So this is a risk to them to take it off. Second of all, even if they're like a privileged white, woman that converted to Islam, well, it doesn't have to be white, but these are the typical examples of women where they'll say, oh, look, this woman converted and she's wearing hijab by choice. Well, the problem there is, one, she believes that if she doesn't wear it, she's going to be punished in hell. She's going to be tortured in hell. She's going to be sinful. Allah doesn't like her. Every day that she's not wearing it, she's, basically, accumulating sins and getting closer to going to hell. And it's constant shaming from the community. So here you have, it's not really a free choice, is it? It's not really a free choice if you have to basically be spiritually compelled to wear it nonstop. And this is the problem here. The problem is that whether or not they truly feel happy, they'd probably be happier if they didn't have to. And I had a video about this lady, Ruqayya, that she basically wrote a post about how she went to the beach. There was nobody there. She took off her hijab. She felt the hair. She felt the wind in her hair. It was so beautiful. It was so freeing. It felt so nice. It was so cool. Not to mention, like covering your hair can lead to hair loss, right? It actually causes hair loss, right? So these are the things that Muslim women have to go through, not to mention suffering, vitamin D deficiency, sweating, like all of this suffering for what, right? And then he's saying the happy, like it's a very superficial happy, right? Now, Mike Tyson doesn't really appear to be like an intellectual per se. Like he's been hit in the head quite a few times, right? Let's be honest. But he's trying to say what he thinks is right? Which, I respect him for that. Bill Maher is coming across very badly. And even if you read the comments, they're all taking Mike Tyson's side because Mike Tyson's coming across as like, he's saying something nice, and this guy's coming across like aggressively against it because he has very strong views about Islam. I just wish he was a little bit more subtle about it.
And I'm wondering what the discussion is like. Is it a lot of real shit? I'm sure it is. Like you like this kind of stuff.
Listen,
I know, but you talk about. I mean, there's nothing that's off limits, right?
No.
You talk about sex with your kids.
Everything,
you talk about religion.
Everything.
Right.
Everything.
Your past.
Everything. Yeah, everything.
There we go. So that's the end of this clip. I do have to say that Mike Tyson being Muslim doesn't make him a bad person. In fact, he's changed a lot. Like if you look at his past and how he was compared to how he is now, he does seem like, he might not be intellectual, but he's definitely a more spiritual person. He's someone that, dabbles in psychedelics, and he's someone that believes in, freedom of religion, all of these things. He is someone that I think is a good man. I do think he's a good man. And I love Bill Maher. I do think that he came across badly in this video, and the comments on this video show it. He could have done a much better job if he would have focused, if he had been a little bit more subtle and, gave a few points back to Mike, maybe tried to ask him about what he likes about Islam, and, maybe then that would have been a good conversation. That's how I would have a conversation with Mike Tyson. If I ever meet Mike Tyson and we get to talk about Islam, I'd be talking about like, have a two-way conversation. Don't just like bash it. But like as people were saying in the comments too, you could see that he was very controlled, calm. He wasn't getting mad, even though, Bill Maher was coming across aggressively. Anyhow, I think that was a fun little video. Wanted to respond to that. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, do subscribe. I'll be doing much more videos on the topic of Islam and Muslims and atheism and all of that stuff. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, do join the Patreon. It's most appreciated. Or join on YouTube. Click join now. This is your friendly ex-Muslim Abdullah Samir signing out.